Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Trevor. You may or may not be wondering what I'm doing right now, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This is legato. This is a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs, and really the only way to practice legato is to just sit and do legato, and that's kind of boring. But nobody asked me that. I just told you that. And so that got me thinking, there's probably a whole lot of questions that no one asked me that I could probably tell you all about. So here's a bunch of questions while practicing legato that no one asked me that I'm gonna answer. So no one asks, when did I start playing guitar and why? Thanks, no one. That's a great question. I started playing guitar pretty late. I think I was like 14 or so. Basically, no one invited me to parties or anything like that in high school. So I started playing guitar because I thought it was cool. It was brutal. I had a really thick string acoustic guitar that my dad had, and it tore up my hands. I bled on that guitar, but I stuck with it long enough, and after a while I kind of thought, you know what? Maybe this thing can, maybe this thing can be the thing, No one's inviting me to parties, but I bet I can get girls with a guitar. Turns out it's not real. You can just get really good in your bedroom, all alone. Next up, we have absolutely no one asking, did you take lessons or are you self-taught? Now, I know no one actually asked me this, but this is actually a question that I hear all the time. Most people have taken some form of lessons, if they're respectable at guitar at all. I did take lessons. I took lessons from a couple guys at a guitar shop. My dad actually asked a guy that we had watched perform. He got a CD that he had bought and found a number on it and called him up and asked if he'd teach me lessons. And I learned some stuff from him. His name was Darren Stroud. He was a good teacher. But honestly, the majority of things I've learned, I've taught myself. I think that that's probably true for most people once you get past a certain point. Once you get to a level of interest where you can sort of self-motivate and you have the basis of the techniques down, I think that at that point, you will start getting more benefit from teaching yourself. So most things I've learned, I've taught myself, but it's not really even teaching myself because I'm learning from other people on the internet or in books or in magazines or by listening. So really none of us are self-taught. It's just a matter of, finding and seeking the information and being able to apply it in a useful way. So 0 people said to me, my uncle can listen to a song on the radio and pick up a guitar and play it right away. Well, that's not really a question. And no one did actually say that, but I've probably literally heard 3 million people say that to me. That their uncle can pick up a guitar and play any song on the radio. That's cool, uncle. Now, tune in your radio to John Coltrane's Giant Steps. And let's see what you got. So Mr. Nobody asked, who are your musical inspirations? Well, Mr. Nobody, my musical inspirations are a multitude of people. Probably, honestly, the first person to get me into guitar was my dad. I saw him playing guitar and I thought it was the coolest thing on earth. After that, it was probably the classic rock guys like, Jimmy Page and stuff like that. And then when I started to get, more technical about stuff, I was into Steve Vai and John Petrucci and things. And that was probably like the end of the study of like virtuoso guitar players. I really got into a lot of different kinds of music at that point. And at one time I entered a guitar competition. They asked me for my influences and I put down Imogen Heap and Björk. Yeah, I was that stain. I don't have like a particular guitar inspiration, although Stevie Ray Vaughan is a total monster and Jeff Beck is a wizard. He who shall remain nameless because he doesn't exist asks, what's your favorite song? This one. Monstrous Ego asked, what has music given you in return for the investment? I'm glad you asked, Monstrous Ego. I've played several shows for money. It has in no way been even close to recouping the amount of time and money invested in music. I've done several things for music. I would say overall, if I were keeping a book, I would be massively in the red as far as an investment. But that's a book of finances, a book of, value for me as a person. It's incalculable. I would say it's been worth the investment multiple times over. Honestly, music has sort of given me an identity that I didn't have, when I was in high school and I was trying to, discover myself. I really could fall back on this identity as a musician and trying to get better at it and, developing relationships with other people. It's really been the thing that has been the most beneficial thing in my life as far as something I've put time into. And finally, 0 people were wondering, why did you start a YouTube channel? Well, obviously, I wanted to try to start a YouTube channel because I'm massively self-interested. My ego can't be contained. There's not a box big enough. Honestly, I started a YouTube channel because I wanted to get better at the instrument and I wanted to have social pressure in order to do it. And I can honestly say, since I started doing this, I have dived into music in a way that I haven't done since I was in high school. I haven't gotten remarkably better at guitar. I thought that progress might go a little bit more quickly, and that's been a little deflating, but the knowledge and being really focused on music, I've learned a lot in a very short period of time. So that's really why, to try to, self-improve. And it's a way to sort of, self-motivate and give myself natural consequences for failure. So that's why. And that's the last question that nobody asked me at all, that no one was probably wondering. But it was, better than just sitting here doing this for an hour. Oh my God. Cramping hand. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for asking me all those questions. Peace.